Hey y'all, welcome to day 25 of our 31 Days with Shadow Work series. My name is Kendra, and I am so happy that we are still continuing our journey of healing together. As we continue week 4, we are talking about relationships, love, and vulnerability. So each day we're diving into a brand new prompt that's going to enhance your healing journey. So today's prompt is all about romance and past connections. Remember, this is a safe space, so give yourself patience, compassion as you go through this journey. Let's get into it. So today's prompt is, what pattern do you notice in your romantic relationships and how do they connect to your past? Okay, love this question. Love this question. Love this question. Because I talked about in the video before where it was like a lot of the heartbreak that you're holding on to and a lot of the rejection that you're holding on to is creating cycles in your life. Okay, so love this question because for me, I do feel like because I was the oldest child, like growing up, I was the oldest of 4. Now I'm the oldest of 8, I think. It's a lot of us. So growing up, me being the oldest of 4, of course, I was like parentified. I believe that's what the millennials are calling it. I was parentified, so I spent a lot of time like growing up, like helping with my siblings, babysitting. Like a lot of my day was dictated based on how much I helped in the house and things like that. And so also, I didn't grow up with like I feel like my dad's a Cancer like me, so my dad has always been I won't even say like a fun parent, but he's always been like a warmer parent. But I grew up with my mom. Like I lived in the house with my mom. That's who I was with more times, of course, than my dad. And growing up, my mom was she was mean. So with my mom being mean the way that she was growing up and us not we didn't have a good relationship until I was like 19, 20 years old. And so in my romantic relationships, early to mid 20s, I was definitely choosing romantic partners that were more like my mom. So it's like, we'll take care of you because my mom has always been a mom. Like she's always taken care of us. She's always made sure we had everything we need. But she was just mean as hell. And so I do feel like I repeated that a bit, not only in my romantic relationships where I was dating partners that like, yeah, they take care of me. Yeah, they were doing things that I really, really liked and that I really enjoyed, and that a lot of women are like, that's their standard now. Because I feel like back then that wasn't like a lot of women's standard. A lot of women was like, oh my gosh, you get this, you get that. And I'm like, yeah, but we can argue about this shit in a minute. So I do feel like that was something I noticed in my romantic relationships was that I was picking partners that could take care of me, but that were mean, that were like willing at any time to like ruin a good moment or to say something that just wasn't necessary or to start an argument or fight during like important times. Um, and I feel like that's how that connected to my past because I don't really remember having like a lot of like big or good memories with my mom growing up as a kid. And that translated in my romantic life is to also having these moments with partners where it's like, I'm not really creating necessarily happy, fun memories because it's like something happy and fun will happen, but then my romantic partner will ruin it because they would have an attitude or they would start an argument or they wouldn't like my response to something. Like it could be something I don't really care for or that I'm not really interested in, and I would express that and it would be like this big thing. Um, and then I would say from there, I was like, okay, I don't want to date men like this anymore. Done with this. So then I would say I ended up going more towards men that are less attached because I feel like the men that I was dating before, they were like super attached. They were super obsessed. It's like they have to have me in their life and it doesn't matter how big our fight is, I have to be there. So I would say in my late 20s, I was more so dating men that had, I would say more like probably an avoided attachment style. Because that's the attachment style that I feel like I've always had. um, so yeah, I feel like I was dating more men who had more of an avoidant attachment style because that's what worked better for me. Now I will say more going into my romantic relationships, I am more so interested in someone who has more of a balance. Like I don't want you to be so obsessed with me that you feel like you can treat me however you want and we should still be together kind of thing. I don't want that kind of obsession anymore. And I also don't want the other hand where it's like someone is fully comfortable just going days or weeks or whatever not talking to me because they're upset. And I don't want the nonchalant, like I've never been into nonchalant men. So I like men that like hype me up and things like that. So I feel like therapy, of course, and then taking the time to like learn myself and learn from my past experiences has helped me a lot when it comes to paying attention to patterns. So even like I say, even with men in my past, in my in my early to mid 20s, those men usually had a temper. They usually would get upset very easily, or they usually would blow up about anything. Like they had these triggers that I knew nothing about because they weren't willing to discuss them with me. Um, that will cause them to blow up. So now once I see that you have a temper, I am out the door, like, because I am sensitive. Okay? I am sensitive and I like to be handled with care. So I want you to ask yourself, what patterns do you notice in your romantic relationships and how are they connected to your past? If you are participating in the series, make sure you use the hashtag 31 days of shadow work and tag me at Keandra Ware. So excited to continue this journey, and I'll see y'all again tomorrow.